Trump's second presidency, and a lot has happened.
I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state.
The Israeli Prime Minister is meeting with US President Donald Trump.
Friends and compatriots, lend me your ears. On the 20th of January 2025, President Donald Trump was inaugurated for his second term in office. 1 month in, Trump's second term has been a roller coaster of bold announcements, controversies, vitriol, and hand-wringing. Neither Trump nor his opponent, then Vice President Kamala Harris, made any real mention of United States-Africa relations during their 2024 campaigns. It is unsurprising, then, that Trump has paid little attention to the continent. But actions speak louder than words. So, what does Trump's second term mean for Africa? Before we dive in, a disclaimer. This video is not a takedown or glorification of Trump. It's an attempt at objective analysis of the impact his presidency might have. We leave the polemics to others. To project what the Trump presidency could look like, let's go back to his first term. From 2017 to 2021, the Trump administration's relations with African states were mixed at best, with insignificant progress made on either side over the 4 years. Trump's Africa policy focused on improving trade and economic ties with the continent, but beneath the surface there was a deeper goal, countering China's growing global influence. In essence, the American approach was zero-sum game, winner takes all. However, nothing much came of it. Under Trump, United States-Africa relations were instead infamously known for alleged comments by the American president, referring to African states as shithole countries, as well as for some awkward meetings with his African counterparts. In his second term, Trump has wasted no time stamping his authority and reinstating his America First approach, aiming to reduce US commitments abroad. His deep cuts to foreign aid include funding for health, education, and security programs in Africa, programs that millions rely on. The consequences for the continent could be severe. According to the State Department, the administration is cutting more than 90% of the USAID foreign aid contracts and over $58 billion in overall assistance. With Africa receiving $12 billion of American aid in 2024, the Institute for Security Studies, ISS, projects that the Trump cuts could force almost 6 million Africans into extreme poverty by 2026. Reduced funding for such programs will weaken ongoing efforts to improve public health, education, and security. African governments that have relied on these programs will have to step up and find alternative means to provide or support these vital services. During his first term, Trump made it clear he viewed international trade as a battlefield. His tariffs on China, the European Union, and even some African exports disrupted global trade. Now, Trump seems ready for round two. The problem: many African economies are deeply tied to both the US and China. Chinese loans fund infrastructure projects across the continent, while America remains a key buyer of African raw materials. If Trump escalates trade barriers, Africa risks becoming collateral damage. The African Growth and Opportunity Act could also be on the chopping block. AGOA provides duty-free access for African exports to the US. But American policymakers were already questioning its efficacy under former President Joe Biden. AGOA may not survive Trump's second term. African leaders should be prepared to negotiate fresh terms with the American president, or watch as US-Africa trade continues to falter. China, the EU, Russia, and others will also be watching closely. Trump's return has also seen a renewed push for tighter immigration controls. His administration has moved to expand visa restrictions, making it harder for Africans and other nationals to study, work, or seek asylum in the US. For the African diaspora in the US, this raises concerns about increased deportations, workplace crackdowns, and greater scrutiny. The remittances that African immigrants send home, worth billions annually, could also take a hit, further straining economies that rely on this financial lifeline. Perhaps the most shocking development of Trump's second term is his rhetoric on expanding American territory. In 2019, he famously suggested buying Greenland from Denmark. Now he's reviving the idea, not just for Greenland, but also Canada.
I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen.
Even more controversial is the suggestion that the US could take control of Gaza to help stabilize the region. While this proposal has been met with international outrage, it signals a broader trend. Trump's America is increasingly willing to reshape global borders if it serves US interests. Unlike the previous administration, Trump has made it clear that further American support for Ukraine in its fight against the Russian invasion will be predicated on US access to Ukrainian mineral resources. For Africa, this raises red flags. If Trump is willing to pursue territorial expansion elsewhere, what's to stop the US from attempting to exert similar control over African resources? Worse, Trump's stance could encourage others to adopt similarly transactional and territorial approaches. So what does Trump's second term mean for Africa? More uncertainty. Cuts to aid will leave African nations scrambling for alternatives. Trade wars could limit economic opportunities. Stricter immigration policies may weaken diaspora ties. And Trump's aggressive geopolitical moves raise the specter of a new, more direct form of neocolonialism. For African leaders, the lesson is clear. Over-reliance on US support is risky, and diversification, whether in trade, security partnerships, or diplomatic alliances, is more urgent than ever. One thing is certain, Africa can no longer afford to be an afterthought in global politics. At Bayani Insights, we believe history isn't just about the past. It's about understanding the present and shaping the future. If we don't question narratives we are given, we risk repeating the same mistakes. Like, share, comment, and follow Bayani Insights, because every story has another angle.